to another edition of Smart Chat here on YouTube.com. And if you didn't know, your boy right here is a defending fantasy football champion. And fantasy football is something that I love greatly. And if you're in a keeper league, I do want to give you at least my opinion, being that I am a champion, of players you guys should avoid in the keeper leagues. And they're favorites that a lot of these guys draft. Now, definitely, listen, if they come up in the middle rounds, they fall on your lap, definitely pick them up. But just be wary, especially if you're in a keeper league. One is Peyton Manning, quarterback, Denver Broncos. Right now, with a running game and a new offensive coordinator in 2015, Denver won't need Peyton Manning to throw the ball 50 times. So with that being said, which is good, because the 39-year-old, I think, is really just on his last legs. Antonio Gates. You have Gates is the tight end from the Chargers. Favorite target of Phillip Rivers, especially down in the goal line. But you got to be careful, because right now, if you draft him, be aware that this guy right now is serving a 4-game suspension for PEDs. And you have that tight end Green there, waiting in the wings and he's going to start the season, I think. So with him starting, when Gates comes back, especially since Gates is 35 years old, I think that Gates will take on more of a part-time role. So be careful if you're drafting him. I don't think he'll put you up the points that he did last year. He had 12 touchdowns last year in 2014. Definitely good numbers, but be careful. You also have LaShawn McCoy, who now plays with the Bills, coming off of the Eagles. You look for him to bounce back after a bounce back year. But just remember, the Bills obviously have plenty of debt at running back. Even with Shady there, I don't think the Bills will be afraid to divvy up the carries. Over 300 carries last 2 seasons. Could this be the season where he becomes injury prone based on all the based on all the work this guy has had? Steve Smith. He's definitely, I think, a mid-rounder draft pick, especially after his resilience with the Ravens last season. But at 36, I think he's literally the oldest wide receiver in the NFL. And it's pretty good, pretty big, pretty good gamble to expect he'll continue to put out 1,000-yard seasons again. It's a big gamble. I don't expect that to happen again. Drew Brees from the New Orleans Saints. Like Manning, Brees is definitely talented quarterback who's nearing the end of his career. He could still be good for 1 or 2 more productive seasons, but with so many good young quarterbacks on the board, he's not really the guy you want to build your fantasy squad around. So buyer beware. Percy Harvin, the wide receiver from the Buffalo Bills. But it's been 2 full seasons since Harvin has had any really fantasy relevance. The Bills have had plenty of offensive weapons. You have McCoy, Sammy Watkins, and Harvin being recently added. Recently admitted he'd be open to trying out at cornerback. What? I mean, in the world of fantasy football, that's not exactly what you want to hear. Beware, Colin Kaepernick, San Francisco 49ers. In the offseason, recently, the Niners lost 3 offensive weapons, all-pro guard, and replaced Jim Harbaugh with a former defensive line coach. All this doesn't really add up well to drafting Kaepernick as your quarterback for your team coming off his worst season. Jason Witten, tight end, Dallas Cowboys. Few tight ends really have been as reliable in fantasy football that Witten, but now he's 33. And backup Gavin Escobar hauled in 4 touchdown passes last season. Witten still is among the best in position, but that's changing quickly, making it difficult to bet on him being in the long being the long-term answer. Also, I think you gotta beware of Dwayne Bowe, wide receiver, Cleveland Browns. You think getting out of the touchdown black hole that's Kansas City would be good for Bowe. Except now his quarterback options are Josh McCown, Johnny Manziel, and he'll play second fiddle to stud wideout Josh Gordon in Cleveland. Bowe will also turn 31 in September, hinting that his, days of fantasy relevant soon might be over. Buyer beware. Just some of my thoughts, obviously. Now, do I know everything in fantasy football? No. But I am a damn champion, for goodness sakes. Until next time.